It appears that the media can no longer not deny the fact that Donald Trump is losing his mind. There have been more and more reports coming out in the past week or so that have not been able to deny this reality. And the clip I'm going to show you in just a bit, CNBC, Andrew Sorkin, who is not a political journalist, a business journalist, has an anecdote that says just that. But a little bit of background on this. For the past 8 years, I think we have all collectively as a culture suffered from a slow, like a slow boil in water. What is that metaphor? A frog in a slowly boiling water. I think that's been us when it comes to Trump's mental sharpness. Because if you look at clips from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it's a clear difference between the way that Donald Trump is able to talk.
I believe I'm portrayed in a rougher sense than the actual product. And I hope that's true, because I hope the actual product is a lot more mellow than the portrayal.
Now, he really does go on these long tangents.
Silence of the Lamb. Has anyone ever seen the Silence of the Lamb? The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man. He oftentimes would have a friend for dinner. Remember the last scene? Excuse me, I'm about to have a friend for dinner. This poor doctor. I'm about to have a friend for dinner, but Hannibal Lecter. Congratulations, the late, great Hannibal Lecter.
And unfortunately for Americans, we suffer from a media that is lazy and disinterested and frankly has an interest in not showing that because they rely on him for an audience. So what they typically will do is that they'll take a 2-hour speech, like the one that happened over the weekend, where he brought up the shark thing that's been reported on here and elsewhere. Instead of reporting on that, because it doesn't make sense and it's hard to fit that into a 2 or 3 minute piece, instead what they do is they'll take something extremely outrageous that maybe he says for a minute or 2 minutes long, where he makes sense, and they'll turn that into a piece where a reporter reports on it. Perhaps they have a Democrat like me come on and they talk about it and why it's so bad. They have a Republican on defending it, saying that he didn't really say that. And that's as much coverage as we get from the Republican candidate for president. So it's incredible now that this reporting is coming out. And this is nothing new, because even the past 4 years, you might remember that Donald Trump was boasting anywhere he could about a test that he took. Remember, man, person, camera, woman, TV, something like that.
Can you say person, woman, man, camera, TV?
So it's person, woman, man, camera, TV.
And I think things have only decreased in terms of his mental fitness since then. So in this clip I'm going to show you, Andrew Sorkin, who is, again, a business reporter, says that CEOs were so unimpressed by his speech that they called meandering and long that these CEOs and business leaders walked out on him.
I spoke to a number of CEOs who I would say walked into the meeting being Trump supporter-ish or thinking that they might be leaning that direction, who said that he was remarkably meandering, could not keep a straight thought, was all over the map, and that they, which may be not surprising, but was interesting to me because these were people who I think might have been actually predisposed to him and actually walked out of the room less predisposed to him, actually predisposed to thinking this is not necessarily, as one person said, this may not be any different or better than a Biden thought.
Every now and then, these kernels of truth will poke through, and I think it's really important that we shine light on them. So my message to you is to make sure that you keep up with this stuff, because the media is not going to be doing the job of telling the truth of how Donald Trump actually is. And it's crazy to me that Biden is the one who is suffering from a narrative that he is too old to be president, when we have stories like this. There's been three just this past week. Nicole Wallace talking about the shark episode that happened this past weekend. There was a report yesterday that you reported on here where Jake Sherman, who is a congressional reporter, said that Donald Trump gave this long 40-minute speech to 40 or so leaders in Congress, that had no real meaning, very similar to this story with the CEOs, except that he then gave this very strange, odd story that Nancy Pelosi's daughter said that him and Nancy Pelosi would make a great couple. And now we're getting this. But Biden is the one who has a mental problem. It doesn't make sense to me. And I will tell you this right now. Joe Biden is the president of the United States. He is meeting with every single type of person and reporter every single day. Activists, political leaders on Republican and Democratic sides, super far leftists. He's meeting with celebrities, business leaders, international leaders, and again, many, many reporters. And if there were stories like this with Joe Biden, we would 100% hear about them. So to me, if there's no smoke, there's no fire. And Donald Trump is the one who is suffering from mental problems. So not only is he not fit to be president because he doesn't support a democracy, he's now a criminal, he's a felon, and he is truly not mentally fit to be president.